On the phone with me right now, Shawn Harris. He's the 14th Congressional District candidate, the Democrat candidate for the 14th Congressional District. That election is March 30th. Early election starts March 30th, and election day is April 7th. Mr. Harris, how are you? Thanks for joining the Shelley Wynter Show.
Hey, Shelley, it's great to be on your show, and I love your show. Man, you call balls and strikes, and I'm looking forward to having a conversation with you tonight.
Oh, I appreciate you. Flattery will get you everywhere, my friend. So let me ask you this. You, by all accounts, all my numbers, all the numbers I pulled, all the numbers my friends have pulled, we all see the Democrat candidate in that district topping out at 40%. First question, do you see the same thing? And if you do, how do you see yourself getting, what's your plan to get to 50 plus 1?
Yeah, you know, the reality of it is Shelley, I would tell you that, no, we see ourselves being able to get to 50 plus 1%, and the reason why we're going to get there is because I'm a moderate Democrat. I'm not way out there on the fringes, and I wake up every day focused on the people right here in Northwest Georgia. That means Democrats are excited to be behind me, independents are excited to be behind me, and yes, 20% of Republicans are supporting me. And I would tell you point blank, Fuller got lucky. He actually limped across the line with President Trump's endorsement. We were fully expecting to run against Moore, and after I beat Fuller this time, I'm going to have to turn back around and beat Moore in November.
Now, you thought that you thought Colton Moore was going to be the nominee, or not the nominee,
yes,
but the winner.
We thought Colton Moore was going to be the winner because when President Trump came down about 2 or 3 weeks ago, nothing changed. If you actually remember, I think it was 12, 13 Republicans running against him. None of them really dropped out. The only ones that dropped out actually started going for Senate races inside the state. So the reality of it is President Trump is not as strong as he used to be, and the Marjorie Taylor Greene factor is still here. And as you know, she comes up on the news every day talking about this war, talking about all the things that President Trump said he wasn't going to do, but yet Fuller says he fully supports Trump. And that's not going to work for the people here in Northwest Georgia.
So what do you propose as Congress? You say you're the congressperson for the 14th Congressional District. What are those issues that you're going to fight for? Mr. Fuller talked about economy and making lives better, creating jobs. What is your fight going to be?
My fight is 100% focused on kitchen table issues. And those kitchen table issues is, yes, the economy. Because here in the 14th, everybody's hurting across the board. I don't care if you're a school teacher or you're an administrative business owner or a farmer. As you know, here in our district, agriculture is the number one thing. And as a cattle farmer, I can tell you diesel prices and gas prices are out the roof. And then on top of all of that, fertilizer prices are out the roof. So at the end of the day, I'm going to fight to make sure that we bring generational jobs back here. We're going to make sure that I am laser focused on the people of Northwest Georgia. My opponent, he's focused on President Trump. I'm a Democrat, but I'm not tied to the party because leadership matters. I'm going to stand up for the people here, regardless if you're a Democrat, independent, or Republican. My focus is you, just like I did 40 years in the military. When I was willing to die, I was willing to die for the American people. And when I go to Congress, I'm going to focus 100% on the people here in Northwest Georgia, period.
We're on the phone with Shawn Harris. He's the Democrat candidate in a runoff with Clay Fuller, who you heard earlier. And for the 14th Congressional District, early voting starts March 30th. The election is April 7th. Election day is April 7th. When you talk about generational jobs, what do you mean by that? I've never really heard that term before. Can you explain that some?
Yeah, when I talk about generational jobs, that comes from my experience of being in the military, of looking over the horizon, talking 30 years and 40 years out. I want to make sure that I sit down with every county, and that's why I do these town halls and the chamber to say, what are the jobs that you think you want in the future? We work together. I bring those jobs in. There'll be manufacturing. They'll be in space. They'll be in all kind of things that when your kids get jobs there and your grandkids, they won't get a job just there for a day. They'll have it for the next 30, 40, 50 years, and it will give them a livable wage so that they can work one job, not 2 or 3 jobs and still don't make ends meet. So that's what I'm talking about when I say generational jobs.
Where the war in Iran, you talked about it clearly. Mr. Fuller is with has the Trump endorsement. You're a Democrat. You're on the other side. What are you saying to voters who do like Donald Trump, who did vote for him, like the endorsement, but maybe in the economic situation that you explained is going on in the 14th and around the state? What do you say to those voters? Because clearly you have the Democrats. How are you going to get, I guess the question is, how are you going to get Republicans to your side?
The reality of it is this. I support President Trump when it comes to closing down the border. He did an awesome job. I support him on several things, but the reality of it is, because I'm going to be representing the people here in Northwest Georgia, everything that's coming out of this administration is not the best thing for small town America. They need a representative that if it works right for us, the answer is yes, I'm going to vote for it. But if it don't, I didn't sell my soul to President Trump. I can push back, just like I can push back on the Democrats and say, okay, we got to make sure that when we're working on these things, it can't just be good for Atlanta or New York or California. It got to be good for all the small rural towns in our district. And that is the major difference between me and Clay, because Clay has already sold his soul to Donald Trump. He can't say anything negative. He can't push back on anything. Marjorie Taylor Greene told us that did not work for her for 5 years. So what I'm saying to everybody in the district, give me a chance. Let me go to D.C. between now and November. If I don't bring home results in that small amount of time, then vote me out. But if you put me in there, I think you're going to see the difference in having a tested leader, somebody that went from private in the United States Marine Corps to general and retiring out of Israel. So I understand what's going on in the Middle East, and I will bring home the results. The last thing I want to say about the war, since you brought it up, is today or yesterday, Joe Kent, an individual Republican that actually advised the President of the United States on intelligence, something that I clearly know something about, said that this war that we in is a war choice. And I take it just like Fuller should take it. Being a veteran, being combat veterans, we should always question why are our kids and grandkids in another war, and making sure that this is in our country's national interest. And on top of that, what is the plan to win, and what is the plan after this war is over?
How can people get in touch with you, Mr. Harris?
Yes, my program or my page is ShawnForGeorgia.com. I ask for everybody to check me out. They will see, if they go to my page, they will see that, you know what? As many things that Republicans, independents, and yes, Democrats would agree with me on. The reality of it is, I just say to everybody, give me a chance. I've been fighting for you for 40 years in the military. I chose to come back home to my home state of Georgia. I'm from Southwest Georgia. I bought a farm up here in Northwest Georgia, and I live in Rockmart. And on top of that, if you're a cattle farmer, you know I'm never going to leave this place. Never, ever going to leave. And I want the people in Northwest Georgia to hold me accountable when I become your congressman.
All right. Good luck to you, my friend.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back. On with me right now is the 14th Congressional District candidate for the Republican Party. His name is Clayton Fuller. Came in on your walk-in song, my brother. Thank you for joining the Shelley Wynter Show, sir.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Congratulations on your victory. And being in a runoff is the runoff elections April 4th. So I don't want April 7th, excuse me. Early voting starts March 30th. I don't want to take too much more time. First question is, what is the plan? Shawn Harris is going to come on after you. He's the Democrat candidate. What is your plan for victory?
Well, just continue to tell voters that we're going to be the warrior for Northwest Georgia, to make sure that we're bringing back good manufacturing jobs to the district. I've jumped in this race. One of the first issues that I said is I want to make sure that that an individual in our community can raise a family on one paycheck and still live in the communities where their ancestors are buried. So that's job number one. then once we're being a warrior for the people up on Northwest Georgia, bringing good jobs back, we're going to have President Trump's back each and every day on Capitol Hill, making sure we're fighting for his economic policies and doing everything we can to be a warrior for President Trump up there because his policies are working for Georgia 14.
Now, there's some, I just complained about gas prices. The economy is a little bit on shaky ground. As a congressman, one of 435, how do you do that? What are the policies that you would do, or would you go up there to fight for to create that situation, that economy in the 14th, if you will?
Yeah, for sure. So, first off, the tariffs have been used as a tool by President Trump. I'm a classical liberal by outlook. So tariffs aren't necessarily something that I look at as a long-term policy, but they're an important tool that President Trump is using to reorient the global economic order to make sure that these communities I love, I'm a ninth generation North Georgian. We've watched these communities in North Georgia and Appalachia get hollowed out over the last 30 to 40 years with the macroeconomic and globalist policies that have emptied out factories in our community. What President Trump is doing is making sure that those are going to come back. And I would vote to support those tariffs on Capitol Hill to make sure we're bringing those jobs back. The other thing is, right now, even with gas prices increased by the war in Iran, they're still lower than they were in the Biden administration. President his policies are winning the war against inflation. And we're going to continue to support those policies because it's making a difference in the pocketbooks of every citizen across Georgia 14.
Okay. Let me ask you this then. What is a policy that has been supported by the president that, as a classical liberal economist, like you said, right, would you say, hey, you know what, I can't do that one? Is there one that that's been pushed, that's been talked about, that you would not support?
Yeah, I think it's important for a congressional representative to fight for the small businesses in that community. And if there was a tariff that was negatively impacting our businesses, I would certainly go and have that conversation with the White House and make sure that we're advocating for those businesses if it's going to negatively impact the bottom line of companies and small business owners in Georgia 14. I've seen that effectively done with coffee shop owners in South Carolina. There was a representative over there that did exactly that and communicated with the White House to make sure that those businesses were protected, because voters need to understand that President Trump is using that as a tool to bring manufacturing jobs back. And also it's a national security measure. Remember, the fentanyl components that are killing more Americans aged 18 to 40 across the United States are coming from the Communist Party of China. And he's using the tariffs as a tool to make sure that we can send a message to the Communist Party of China that if you're going to send poison to the United States, we have the ability to impact you and make sure that you can't do it anymore. He's using that as a effective national security negotiating tool. So happy to have that conversation with the White House and defend businesses here if there's any sort of negative impact.
That's fair. We're on the phone with Clayton Fuller. He's the Republican candidate for the 14th Congressional District. He's in a runoff. Early voting starts March 30th. The election day is April 7th. The Iranian war, do you believe that this should have gone to a vote to Congress, or do you believe that the commander-in-chief has every right to go to war without Congress's approval?
Well, I wouldn't agree with the last statement, but I think when you look at this specific situation, same thing in Venezuela as well, and same thing with the, I don't know if you remember the strikes against drug boats in the Caribbean. I think what is happening currently squarely fits within the president's Article 2 powers. Mm-hmm. He identified an imminent threat, and so I think what he's doing is squarely within his Article 2 powers. He was concerned about the threat that was posed by the Iranian regime, and he's taken care of it and eliminated that threat and completely degraded their ability to continue to strike American forces in the region. So I think it fits squarely within his constitutional authority under Article 2.
Fair enough. Let two questions together, right? Many candidates have come on this show for Congress, said they're going to cut the budget, cut the deficit. Nobody's been able to do that. No one's fought to do it. No, everyone wins, gets there, and forgets they made that promise to us. Not only me as a talk radio host, but me as a voter and the people of the 14th. Will you, or are you, for cutting spending and cutting the deficit, and will you fight for that?
Absolutely. I think first off, we have to have an honest conversation that the budget deficit is an existential long-term threat to the country. The other thing that I would say is I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we're bringing down spending. One of the first things that I would propose is I don't know if you know this, but illegal immigrants using federal programs cost hundreds of billions of dollars each year. I think that's a very important step that we have to make, is to make sure that we're cutting out illegal immigrants using hundreds of billions of dollars of taxpayer money. And that would certainly help. And I'd continue to fight for any program where we can reduce spending.
Clayton Fuller, how can people get in touch with the campaign?
Go to clayfullerforgeorgia.com. That'll tell you all of our social media, Facebook and X, and has a donation link there. But also, if you're a voter in Georgia 14, please remember to make a plan to go out and vote on April 7th in the early voting period. There's some southern counties that have spring break over April 7th, so make sure that you're making your plan to go and vote, because if we need the voters to turn out. We had 56% of the Republican vote, even though there were 11 other candidates in this race. We nearly topped Shawn Harris, even though there were 11 candidates in the race. But we can't take anything for granted, and we need the voters to turn out. Make sure we're keeping Georgia 14 red, so we can go up there and fight for the good people of Northwest Georgia.
Good luck to you, Clay Fuller for Congress. Good luck to you, my brother. Talk to you soon. Coming up next,
yes, sir.
Shawn Harris, the Democrat candidate for the 14th Congressional District. He's in a runoff with Clay Fuller. We'll be right back.